Hello and welcome to Clay to Canopy, the show where I attempt to make just about everything from the ground up. Y'all, it has been ages. It has been ages since I have been in front of this camera. It has been ages since y'all have got to see me out here doing my thing. So I am here to introduce to you the newest series of the Clay to Canopy adventures. This is my log cabin theme series that I am calling So Not Walden. If you have been following along, I have been releasing a series of shorts of what I called my miniature cabin series, where I was making a bunch of miniatures and those miniatures were creating this environment here that you see. But it's me, y'all, so there's no way that this was only going to be about little miniatures. This is actually a model. And what is the difference between miniatures and models? Miniatures are designed usually completely to scale and are as realistic as possible, generally done for doll houses and things like that. A model, on the other hand, can be something completely different. It could be a very crude object just to give you technical detail. It could be something that is very realistic and highly detailed, but models are usually done for specific purposes as a way to get an idea out or to map out a technical problem or something like that. Though I have said to you that this is my miniature series, it is in fact also a model in my case, because this is going to be the next environment that is going to hit this channel. I want to dive into this and I want to talk to you a little bit more about how I got here, what my design choices were, and how this entire thing evolved. When I finished the dragon, I knew that I was going to be doing a log cabin next. It was just the next place to go. In fact, I've been thinking about a log cabin before the dragon even started. It was kind of kicking around in my head as something I wanted to do, but I didn't know what that was going to look like. I just wanted something log cabin themed. When I'm looking for inspiration, I go to where there are linens, where there's fabric. Sometimes it's, the aisle at Target, but lately for me, I tend to go to the fabric store. So I was browsing the aisles of Joann's, and sometimes I will just go there to walk around the aisles just to look at fabric, just to look at textures, and I found this fabric. Now, I knew I was looking for some sort of plaid. I knew that it was all going to start with this chair. For me, this entire design sparked with the idea of an upholstered high-backed chair. So I went and searched for fabric first, and I promised y'all that I would stop using some of the color schemes that I've been using. I had a lot of green going on. I know there's green popped in here, but it was a lot of earthy tone greens. Even before the dragon, I had other colors that were very natural, earthy, and I was going to do something of a different color. I did a series of blue. I had promised y'all I would try and work with purple. So I went to the fabric store with a plaid in mind that was going to be purple, and I found this one. I had not intended on throwing in the green at the time. I really truly wanted to stick to some sort of purple and have this be the monochromatic thing going on. But when I found this, I couldn't resist. I fell in love with this fabric right away, and I thought that having that little hint of the lime green was just going to be an incredible pop to add to the space. This is actually Halloween fabric, and unfortunately it is quilter's cotton that is very thin, so I'm going to have to be doing something to stabilize this in order to use it for the upholstered chair. But once I laid eyes on this, I just could not resist, and the entire room literally just fell together after I had found this fabric. I knew that I wanted to have this very clean, washed look of the cabin. It is very much so elements of what you would find in a log cabin, but very chic log cabin. To offset the pop of this purple and to not have so much going on, I decided to go with a very white palette in terms of the other elements. I have this birch tree look going on. In this model, y'all have some things here that were not in the miniature series that I just did off camera. So I started with this chair. Chair was the very first for me to make because, again, it was all about this chair. Because it was this cabin, I was having the Walden feels. I'm an East Coast girl originally. I always regretted never making it over to Walden Pond, but Thoreau and the philosophy of running off to the woods and building a cabin always sat in my head. I knew I wanted to somehow pay tribute to Walden. I have read Walden, and I gotta tell you, this cabin is so not Walden.
Is so not Walden. Is so not Walden.
It will be completely hand done, just like Walden built his cabin, but it is the upscale version, right? Because Walden's cabin was pretty bare, and Walden was like out there with nothing but a couple of hand tools and whatever he could find in the woods. I want to capture the feel of log cabin, but I also want something cozy, some kind of retreat that just feels like you could get lost in it for, I don't know, days, months, hours, whatever. So I am going to be building a coffee table that is is in the shape of a book that looks like Walden and will have a drawer. The bottom will be finished with birch logs. I have actually purchased a real birch log for the legs, so that's going to be that. I'm going to just actually pull these apart as we talk about the elements. Of course, there will always be a quilt. I didn't know at the time what I wanted to do for the quilt. I do know what the quilt's going to be now, so I just kind of did some squares of this purple theme in terms of the model goes, but the quilt is actually going to be log cabin pattern, and then of course the quilt rack that it's going on. I wanted a fireplace. Can't have a cabin without a fireplace, but I couldn't have an actual fireplace. I mean, they make them, right? I could go out and purchase one. I wanted something that was going to be unique, and I also always incorporate something cat related. So I thought it would be really cute to do a cat bed fireplace, complete with a cat scratcher smokestack and some dangly smokes, which will be cat toys. There is going to be a rug that looks like a wood round, and again sticking with that very white and black so that I'm not interfering with the purple and lime green color. I have a couple of stools in mind that are going to be fabric and foam. I have a fabric dyeing technique that I'm going to go over. So that's what these are. The butler tray back here with the cups. I have tested 40 different types of mixed colored clays to get what I was looking for in terms of these bright purple and lime green. These cups are going to be a ceramic piece, but they were inspired by the camping mugs. Blue and white enamel coated camping mugs. They're very iconic. I wanted that look, so I'm going to be making a set of mugs with some saucers inspired by enameled finish. We're going to get into that a little bit more. I also have some lanterns. I will be using the same colored clay and probably some stained glass to make those lanterns. I have a coat rack, which I have not decided how I want to make this yet. I don't know if I'm going to just go find a giant branch, do it like that, or if I'm going to use stitch and glue technique and do a faux log. We'll see how that goes. But I do want something that looks very clean like this. Back here, over on this side, I have what would have been a bookcase because I wanted a sort of like a reading area. Rather than having something that was a weighted bookcase, I turned something that looks like a window box, flower bed window box. When you close the two doors, it looks like a window box. The inside of it is actually storage for books. And rather than just regular books, I've been obsessed with collecting, maybe you can see them, craft kits. And you get them and it comes with a little book, but it's also a big craft kit. I'm going to be making some custom craft kits that sort of sit in here that look like books so that you can do some felting, do some basketry, whatever, while you're sitting here in this cabin. I also have vases that will get done and probably some sort of cat picturing thing happening back here. I have already started working. I have started making the chair and I have realized that it needs an ottoman. It is possible that as I continue on, there will be other elements that get added in. But after the dragon build, I want to make sure that I don't overwhelm myself. And one of the biggest mistakes I made with the dragon is that I made a model of the exterior and did not think about the interior, figuring that, oh, the interior would come after I made, the exterior. I would sit inside of it and figure out what I wanted the interior to be. And that turned out to be a really big mistake because I created this channel with the idea of doing interiors. It was all about creating interior environments and making all of the elements from hand from the ground up. The dragon I took on because I wanted to prove I could also do an exterior, and I also wanted to have, an exterior space that was sort of fit for the interior environment. And though I loved the dragon, I feel like a lot of the essence of what I wanted for this channel kind of got lost. So I'm trying to go back and really focus on the design of the interior space. This is going to be super focused on that part of it, but I also did not want to get so overwhelmed that I was overworking myself. This design, I feel like, is really honed in, really well thought out, all of the elements of it. As I'm going along, yes, I do decide I needed an ottoman, but I don't want to get crazy where I go, oh, that needs that, and oh, this table needs something else. I need to make sure that I don't get too crazy. There were so many unpredictable things that happened with the dragon. That was supposed to be a 1-year project and turned into 2.5 years, way more than I expected. This goal, the aim goal of this, is a 1-year project again, maybe 6 to 8 months-ish worth of video content for you. And I'm gonna do this one a little bit different. This is gonna be a little bit closer to the way I used to do things. I'm gonna add in a new segment called A Closer Look. I'm going to be taking a closer look at a specific part of the process for the projects. So for example, I'm going to talk a little bit more about some of the design aspects that go into the chair as one video, and then I will present to you the project video of the upholstered chair. The same goes with like the making of the clay, the process of how I got to color samples. That's going to be a video, and then I will have a video of using the final clay to make the cups. There may also be a couple shorts kind of thrown in the mix for things that I have already done before but are part of this series. For example, I'm probably going to be doing a short for the molds for these vases because I'm going to do a 2-part mold, but I've done 2-part molds many times before. In the past, I have done a project a week. That pacing is a little bit too much for me because I'm trying to have a life, right? I work a full-time job and I need to make sure that I have time to care for myself as well. I have decided that I'm going to be releasing 2 projects a month, so every other week, and then the other fill-in week will be a highlighted element of that one project I'm presenting. Yeah, I hope that you dig this new design. I am so excited about it. I feel like this is probably the first design where I looked at it and I went, I could live in that room. Like a lot of my designs I've made are just themed for one specific thing, and I wouldn't necessarily think of it as something that would be like really in my home. I feel like this though, I could totally see this as some like space that I retreat to. I am super excited to get into making this. Thanks for hanging around with me. Please like, share, and subscribe if you have not done so already, and stick around to watch this series unfold.